TV, and welcome to Christ in Education. Well, you all know that we have different speakers coming to the show every week talking about different subjects and how they're related to Christ and Bible. Today we have Shruti Renukuntla, and we know that we told you guys that she'll be coming this week, and some of you guys sent some of the questions you might have related to business, and we're glad to answer those questions for you all today. Well, hi, ma'am. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Ma'am, so the first question is what characteristics do you think a manager, like a business professional, should have? Can you talk about that, please?
Yes, thank you for having me. Have you ever read a book, International Business, which was written by Brian Satterley?
Oh yeah, I know. International Business by Brian C. Sadley. Yes, I've read that, ma'am, and I think it's a wonderful book. Actually, it's one of my textbook. It was my textbook, and you know that I'm doing my MBA too, so I'm quite excited to have you here myself. Yes, I read that.
So he very well explained some of the characteristics what a business professional should have. So knowledge is the main characteristics. What does a business professional should have? Because they should have a basic knowledge of how to controlling, operating, and staffing, and also the skill. There are certain set of skills what is a business professional should have. If you, for example, if you want to do something computer and you need some of the computer skills, and for accounting you need some of the
knowledge on that subject.
Yes. So the skills are the main characteristics of a business professional too. And while talking about attributes are also important to a business professional, but those are something which are not to be taught. They come with experience and also time, like diplomacy.
Diplomacy will help them in cross-border trades. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good thought, ma'am. Thank you. And what do you think are, like, for say, what do you think, like, some of the 10 most important characteristics of a manager, or what characteristics should a manager have? What do you think?
A business professional should have knowledge, determination, hardworking, and commitment, integrity, and
they have to be true.
Yes, of course. And leadership qualities are also important.
I know, that's very important.
Yes.
I'ma be about my business. I'ma go and handle this business, 'cause it's kingdom.
I'd like to talk about one of the missions ministry which is involved, which I believe also needs this, which also is a business and needs organization, and we're going to talk about that. And with us we have today Mr. Dan Tran from Vietnamese, and he's from this Gap Missions Ministry which I just mentioned you about. Let's know about this. Welcome, Mr. Dan Tran. It's a pleasure to have you on the show again. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Yes. So, can you tell us about this Gap Missions Ministry?
Yeah, definitely. So we're still a pretty young organization. We started somewhere around 1989, and basically our mission is just to spread the love of God, the voice of God, through the teaching of Bibles to the people that are still lost, that need to show His way, and about to go around the Bible. And specifically, we would go to areas that are still having issues, having access with the God's voice through the Bible, and we're gonna look to build more and more churches, as well as Bible institutes and places that people can have easier access to Bibles. Then we will try to promote, we will equip people for the world evangelization. Another thing that we would look forward to do is to provide children that are in hardship and difficulty a lot of support, a lot of sponsor, and also to look around and just basically help more and more people that we could to reach God.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much for giving us the overview of this amazing ministry, Mr. Trent. Can you give a little more in detail about missions, the ministries project, and what you guys like support? Can you talk
Oh yeah,
about that?
we
Please?
we have a lot. We have a lot in stock for you guys. We can tell a little bit of one thing named the Jungle Riders, which is a group of motorcycle riders that would take the screen projectors and that is used under the solar power system to places that are remotely untouched. Show them the Jesus film in their own native language. So if any of you are interested in riding a motorcycle and be a part of it, sign up with us. In Ivory Coast, since it has recently suffered a large drought and a large number of famine, a lot of children are left unfed, and with an unsheltered. That's why we have a few programs over there to sponsor the kids, to donate, and to build them an orphans or a few other orphans if we have enough of support.
Coming to business aspect of this, as you know that today we're talking about business and Christ in education. So, how what type of mode do you like guys use?
I would consider us as close or as a resemblance of some kind of a license where we are getting all the property rights, all the stuff from God and His words, which is the Bible. If you think of it, if you come to think of it, you would think of it as like some sort of exporting where we export the values of God and His way
Wow.
to the other areas where people don't haven't heard about it yet, where people are still lost. So we would hope to like export all those kind of things so they have access to it more. So I'm guessing as a most of entry, we will be a little closer to be a high intensity entry because we do actually make a lot of investment into it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we are having a lot of control over it. So I would say so, high intensity or kind of entry level.
Well, I am actually personally excited about being a part of this if I could, and I'm hoping that I know that a lot of viewers have been too. So thank you for coming and sharing this beautiful session.
I'ma be about my business. I'ma go and handle this business. 'Cause it's kingdom. Yeah.
Welcome to a session with Katrina. You all know that we have this session at the end of the show every week. Well, I'm excited to talk about some of the business questions you have sent. And that is, they sent Matthew 22:36 to 40 states, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like, love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. What would be the implications for nations to follow the above when considering tariffs, quotas, and embargoes?" Okay, great. That's actually a really good question, and I'm gonna tell about what I think as I'm a business major too. The worst teacher would say, love the Lord with all your heart and with all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Well, surely I think God wants us to love people around, and how this would affect is like, for example, the countries which have tariffs can lessen the tariffs of the countries. For example, if there are countries whose economy is going low or is falling down, the other country who has a good economy could always, consider that fact of, poverty and just lessen the tariffs. Well, and coming to embargoes, I think embargoes, I think, depending about the situation. I mean, for example, I know God tells us to love our neighbors, but it all comes down to wisdom and loving with wisdom. By that, I say that you have to, like, one should analyze. The manager should analyze the situation properly in order to know if the other country is a threat to them, really a threat to them. There's another question I want to answer, which says, why should one studying international business understand the historical development of international trade? To understand a subject, to understand business, you need to know what were the developments in history, so that you you will really know what happened before and why they had things like European Union coming up, and WTO and things like that. You will understand international business only when you understand the history of it, when it developed and how it developed and what all developed from the time it started. I think it'll give you more insight to the subject. That's it for tonight. I think you guys had your questions answers. I'm sorry if we didn't answer a lot of questions, but so we'll meet you next time, same channel and same time. This is Katrina Ruth signing off. Have a good night.